It is Women's History Month, and there is one group out of Pine Lake, Georgia, that is doing a lot of effort to make sure that women in our community feel seen, feel heard, and have a space to express themselves or just sit back and listen and be with others. And the space is not exclusively for women. Melanie Hammet, the former mayor of Pine Lake, joining me to talk about this incredible series, Our History is Now. Thank you so much, Miss Hammett, for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's delightful to see you again, and thank you for caring about this series.
Absolutely. Well, I will say personally, I was able to attend last year and I left feeling so full. That's something that women, we are the bearers of life. We fix everything. And I feel like a lot of times you pour so much out of yourself into other people. How are you going to get that cup filled back up so that you can pour? And I left last year's night feeling so full. We were speaking, it was a spoken word and grief counselor, and so many women shared so many just stories that I haven't lost anybody, but that the message still resonated in
Right.
different areas of my life. And it was just so nice to be able to pull that out. And what you all are doing in the community, Ms. Hammond, can you talk to us about Our History is Now? And for those who did not see the story last year, can you give us just a little bit of background on how this came about?
So last year, literally in February of 2025, I read an article about women in the military being disappeared from military websites. In other words, their history, their service, their contribution was being erased because they were women. Having worked with veterans and having known women in the military, this struck a particular chord with me. And I got together five other women who felt very strongly that we needed to do something. And so we created every single Friday night in March series. And we had some great women that came and spoke. Rose Scott from WABE was one of the speakers. And then the woman you spoke about, Gina Breedlove, who does sound healing, actually. And I remember you asked her, how do you replenish yourself? How do you restore? What's your advice on restoring yourself after giving and giving? That was the question you had for her. So I do remember that. But anyway, and then here we are in another year with another need to say our history is happening now. Our history has been happening. Our history will continue into the future. We want to write the future with our history in this moment. And history is made by the voices who refuse to disappear.
Hmm.
And so that is part of what this series is about. The
Say
voices
that again. That is strong. That is strong. You said history is made by the voices
who refuse to
who
disappear.
refuse to disappear.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
So
That
we
is
have
incredible.
we have a number of women. We have, for example, Doris Bukangu, who is the director of the Amani Women's Center.
Mhm.
They do classes, they do resources, and they do crafts. They'll have crafts for sale tomorrow night. We have Han Pham, who, among a million other things, created her term, which is like it helps women learn to run for office and it supports them when they run for office.
Mm.
So here you've got women learning job skills, you've got women learning public service skills, elected office skills. And then we have the third night, we have Sushma Barakoti, who's the director of the Refugee Women's Network. And that will be great. In addition to that, the Chefs Club, which is part of the Women's Refugee Network, is providing catering every Friday night. So you'll be having the wonderful cuisine, the story of the cuisine, the story of the heritage is literally what you'll be dining on. So it's a wonderful event. I'm excited. You can tell I'm excited.
I can tell you're excited, and I know this is not an easy thing to put together, but you have a great team behind you. Can you
Yes.
tell me a little bit about those moving parts? Because I mean, this is, like you said, free to the community, volunteer base, at a beautiful beach house that is also really upkept and maintained by the community there. So can you just talk to me a little bit about the team making this possible?
Well, it's a team of five women, and they are from all walks of life with all sorts of skill sets. So this is the thing, we sat down. I said, "This is the idea," and they said, "Okay, got it." And then one went to the grocery store, and then one got this happening, and then one found artwork, and then another one. It was like I think the only reasons our meetings lasted more than 10 minutes was because we had food and beverages, and so we enjoyed each other's company. But we just got it done. And this year, we also, part of the program is, as you witnessed, there's a singer or an artist who begins the evening. Then there are the two presenters. And then it closes with, this year, one of the closing arts will be dance. We'll have an embodied dance. So, so there are a lot of moving parts. We just made it as vibrant, as exciting, and as cherishing as we could possibly make it. So when you walk into the room, male or female, but this is Women's History Month, then you feel valued and hopefully you feel seen.
And I think that's so important. It's a Friday night. I mean, so many women, and like you said, men too, because there are men and women in the room. You might find yourself at home alone, wanting to speak to people, but you don't know where to go. And what I loved about this event is that you can come by yourself. You
Yeah,
don't need somebody to come with. You can just come by yourself and meet somebody, or not meet somebody. Just be there and just exist.
yeah.
There's no pressure, which I think is absolutely incredible. Can you? Miss Hammett, can you tell us a little bit about what the need is for this? Why do you all continue to do this year?
You know, partly because of what I heard from people in the room last year. I mean, there was a guy, a man, who wrote to me after one of the series episodes, and he had lost his job at the CDC. That, I think it was that day actually, and he felt like he had a place again to be valued. And this is, obviously, you were in the room. It's mostly women, um, but I think particularly now the value is to be resonant in the stories that we share, empathetic in the stories that we don't share, and inspired to move forward and create more stories. That's critical. Those things are critical if we're going to have a future community together.
Some of the feedback that you got from other women last year on this series.
You cut out a little bit. What's some of the
Uh,
feedback?
Yeah, what is some of the feedback that you got from other women who attended the series last year?
Well, some of the women in the room, I think, including you, were in tears at certain points. There were women who spoke up and talked about things in the room that I had not heard them talk about. Professionals that I know who were going through crises that talked about that in front of a group of strangers. And this, when you talk about something in front of a group of strangers who are creating safety, then it is not sharing with a group of strangers. It's sharing with the community that yours sort of instantly created itself. And that was the way people felt. And that was the feedback that we got. People talked about their mothers, their sisters, their nieces, their grandmothers. And this was all, you saw there were lots of conversations because there's food and there are little spaces to gather and talk to the woman who formerly was a stranger and is now an empathetic listener.
Can you give us just something to take away? Let's say somebody's watching this, they're not able to get out. Maybe they're have family things or work on Friday nights. But what is something that we can take with us if they're watching this interview right now to help, I would say not only empower, but to create that space? Like, where can we, if we feel like, you have kids going to school, you got work, and then you come home to craziness, how can we create those spaces like the space that you all have created in Pine Lake if we're not able to get to the beach house?
I think the first thing is to notice that those spaces may already be in your life. They may already be there. If you're sitting and sharing a meal, notice that, right? Instead of, sort of helter skelter, get food in your mouth. If you're sitting, Faith, you're a remarkable listener. I've sat with you in my own living room and you create that space. I know that it's your job. However, you create a listening space. You are in the moment. And those are tiny things that don't require a budget. They don't require apparatus. They don't require scheduling. You're already there. You're in the moment. You're sharing a meal. You're listening to the woman who's talking about a history series. You're helping a neighbor get her groceries out of the car. You're doing something that's just part of your day, but you're attending to it, understanding that it is a seed of community. that's being planted in that second.
The seed being planted. I love that. I absolutely love that. And one day, if it's nourished, it will grow and produce more seeds. I always like to leave the last bit up to you. Is there anything that I didn't ask you about or that's just on your heart that you would like to share for everyone watching this interview?
I want to go back to something that you and I were talking about before you turned the interview on. Yesterday, when I visited the Amani Women's Center, and I found out that for not a huge sum of money, you can sponsor a woman learning to sew for a year. For 1 year, you can sponsor a woman who's learning to sew. And all of us know that the skill of sewing clothing or sewing for your family is not just as local as now I've made my kids' clothes. It can become a way to be economically independent. So to go sponsor somebody at the Amani Women's Center so they can learn to sew. That is so powerful. It was so powerful to me when it just came up in conversation. I thought I was going to start crying, frankly, but I'm pretty quickly moved to tears. But in that moment, I was just blown away.
I am too. I almost teared up when you were talking about us tearing up last year, and I had to like, hold up. We got a show to do in an hour. But I mean it is and you can and so many times with men and women we are you know taught to be strong, not show emotion. It'll make you look weak. And sometimes you just need a good cry. Sometimes you just need a good shoulder to lean on. And sometimes you surprise yourself when that
Right.
happens.
Well, and sometimes the moment is this gift that moves you to tears. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. I've seen you cry, Faith. I know about you.
Well, I'm very easy. On TikTok, those little videos with the dogs and the cats and the kids and the babies, and I'm just like, oh, boo-hoo. But it's a move of release.
It is.
Those tears might be something else coming out that you really, need to get out. Some people do it with writing, some people do it with, things that are not that great for you. But everybody finds their way of release, and it's, I think, better to find something healthier, than something that's not as healthy.
Right. Well, Faith, which one are you going to come to? All three?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I'm definitely gonna try to come this Friday, the 13th, which is
Right.
ooh. But
Right.
and just for everyone watching, the first one is this Friday, the 13th. We'll put more information on 11alive.com at the Pine Lake Beach House,
Beach
and then there's
house.
a couple at the clubhouse as
There's
well.
one.
There's
There's,
one at the clubhouse. Okay.
yes, the two at the beach house, and then the last one of the month is at the Pine Lake Clubhouse, and the address is on the website, which I'm sure you'll
Yes.
send that information out.
Yes, we will include that as
Great.
well. Ms. Hammett, thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you.
part of your day to speak with us, and I'm excited to see you out there on the beach.
Indeed. All right. Appreciate it, Faith.
Thank you.